Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Skateboard Nation. Today we are honored to have Jeff Tatum in the house, and we're going to go back and talk a lot of old history, a lot of stuff that people know or don't know about. So we're going to just jump right into this. Anyway, all right. So Jeff, so where did you grow up? Where did it all start from?
Well, I never grew up. I'm still six.
point.
I'm still 16. My body's probably 120, but my brain's still 16, definitely. But any growing up I did do was in Oceanside.
Outside?
Pretty much Oceanside, yeah. North County boy.
Well,
That's Northern California, San Diego, of course.
North County.
Southern California, San Diego, North County. Yes, I got that straight.
Okay, so so before skateboarding, what was there with Jeff Tatum? What did you do? What kind of stuff?
I was
What was it?
surfing. I was a fortunate kid. My parents had a nice condo in Oceanside when I grew up. Just on the border of Oceanside and Del Mar, right off Via de la Valle there.
Okay.
By the racetrack, and I surfed, and surfing in San Diego is very inconsistent. It gets good not very often. When it gets good, but you do a lot of waiting. So I was really bored. I had anxiety as a kid even, so I was really bored and couldn't sit still. So waiting for waves was hard. So found a skateboard to emulate surfing, like most skaters did. That was probably the main way most skaters seem to transition into skateboarding, from surfing to skateboarding. But basically being bored for waiting for waves, we started skateboarding driveways and little banks, and then it went to ditches, and then we found reservoirs. And then, of course, we went to the pool,
And natural progression.
And I could surf every day on a skateboard. I'm like, this is awesome. And there's more waves.
Well, one thing I do remember is looking at that picture that we just had up that everybody just got to see was you standing on the longboard.
That's a cool picture.
Yeah, and
that's the Vista Bowl.
Was that okay?
Yeah,
it is. We were one of the first guys to jump on it. I don't know, it was like you and Ed and Brad Strandlin, right? Anyway, what made you kind of move off of the normal skateboard and jump on a longboard?
Well, actually, I never moved off because I never got on a regular skateboard. Again, it came from emulating surfing. Skateboarding really didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
We were creating it.
Yeah, that's true.
So my image of a skateboard was a surfboard on the ground. Mm-hmm. So I saw my first water ski at a garage sale. Nose turned up. And I'm like, there it is, a cement surfboard. Shit, yeah. So I was riding water skis with the nose still on them for quite a while. That, of course, I figured that out pretty quick. That wasn't super functional. So at one point, I turned it around and cut it down and used as the kick.
Right.
That pretty much formed into a blocktail. Worked the best in the long. But again, just the transition from surfing, I wanted it to be like a surfboard. And of course, a board this long wasn't so much like a surfboard. And I never knew anything other than a longboard.
Okay. I know, in Del Mar days, at the contest days, everybody was riding the 27-inch.
Yeah, I had a 44-inch board. That board in that picture is probably 45, and that's carved out of a water ski.
You still have it?
No, I don't have that board.
No,
unfortunately.
I'm just curious. I have my very first board that I ever rode. Actually, I made it in 7th grade wood.
I am always impressed that people have a life that they can keep these things. I moved around so many darn times, I can't keep stuff.
Okay, so do you remember when Ed Economy? I'm just trying to get a timeline as far as the longboard thing goes, because I know you always rode longer board than everybody.
Yeah.
And Ed was the only other guy that I saw I mean, other than like Tom stuff, I see pictures of him. I think your minimum was probably Ed's was like 5, 6 feet.
Yeah.
Like, and same with Brad. Brad,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that was.
Yeah,
Right,
at the Vista Bowl at that skate park. What was it? Remember the name of that? Yes.
Yeah, sir.
That's where I first saw Ed. Reservoir. He had a board. It was like 10 feet long. It couldn't even drop in without it going and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But he was pushing it. He was pushing the longboard limits just to make a point, Wasn't very functional. He couldn't really ride it in the bowl.
Yeah, but he actually did ride it in.
Yeah, when he got down to like 5 feet.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it was 5 feet. It just seemed like a monster board.
I think I was only 5 feet, so at that time.
But at that time, as you know, those guys weren't San Diego guys. They were LA guys, and there wasn't cell phones. There wasn't all this communication. And the only time you saw guys is when you bumped into each other at skate parks or at skate spots.
Right.
So I never really got to know Ed personally. I'd see him around here and there. Oh, Ed Economy, but we were just so separated then.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was the LA. He was part of the LA crew.
Yeah.
And speaking of crews, then, so you were a North County guy, and you had your crew. And I do remember Sonny being a part of it. Who else were you hanging out with at that time?
Well, my buddy Art, he was really my right-hand man, and then Sonny, too, came into it a little later in the game. When I was working for Alan Weiss, the Panther wheel guy, Sonny worked for him, and that's where I met him. And there was a couple of other guys in the crew, but unfortunately, I can't even remember their names now. It's 50 years ago,
It was only 50 years ago.
But they kind of came and went. Art and Sonny were pretty much the main other guys.
That's so funny. Last week we had Billy Ruff on, and I think, what would we decide? 40 years? Don't ask me anything over 40 years because I can't remember. So
I forget so much stuff from back then, and it's unfortunate because people ask me questions, and I'm like, I don't know.
And it'll probably come to you tonight, and you'll be like, oh yeah, now I remember, or a dream or something. Who knows? Anyway, all right. Well, I know that the first time I ever met you, I don't think I ever met you at the Kona Bowl, but we have a great story about that.
Yeah.
So before I move on, let's talk Kona real quick, okay? Because that was one of the first backyard pools in the North County where people really made it, started to really come alive, so to speak. Where they, one of the first pools, there was Carlsbad Skate Park, but there wasn't a pool. In that it was like a rounded edge.
No, Kona was a real pool. It was serious. Actually, if it existed now, most people would say it's unrideable.
Yeah,
because it was small and steep as fuck, man. I mean, it was steep. The thing was, again, everything we were doing was new.
Right.
So I didn't know what a crappy pool was.
Okay.
There's
some pictures of it right now. Yeah, everyone can see.
And that's Art right there. He was my right-hand man.
Okay.
We were separatable.
Okay. And what was that, a wheel advertisement on that? That's
Panther wheels.
Panther.
Yeah,
That's Panther. Yeah.
And they were a big wheel then.
Yeah, I remember they had like a really bright pink wheel.
They didn't work all that great, but they were big at one time.
I remember seeing them at Del Mar back in the day. I don't know who's got them. Probably, I'm sure there's guys out there that still have and collected those, but
we didn't know that it was kind of a crappy pool. We didn't really know that it was as gnarly as it was. I just adapted to it because it was one of the first pools I rode.
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't know how gnarly it was until I look back now.
Well, I remember skating it, and all I remember was that coping there was a lot of vert, and the coping stuck out.
Oh, dude, the coping was like a hat visor.
Yeah,
it was. It was like 6 inches. And in that ad, the ad that was up, that's a good picture too, right there.
Yeah.
that picture at the bottom of the carve has become one of the most iconic skate photos there is.
Well, actually, there's another one that I like better. That it's
Really?
even in Kona. It's
Black
actually
and white?
no. It's you carving. But
What number?
I don't remember.
I know we jumped around.
Yeah, we did. We jumped around a lot, so we're bouncing everywhere. He's kind of
And you
he's kind of jumping ahead, but
and you
it's making
see
it move along.
these carves on coping.
Yeah,
I mean, this was a year before people were carving coping.
yeah.
You know,
Well, that's gnarly because I remember how big that coping was, and
on
and,
the
and
longboard.
for being early time too. Like I'm looking at your trucks, you were riding.
Mid-tracks.
Yeah,
They're
those are.
this wide
Yeah,
on that
but
gnarly coping.
that's a wide. I mean, I rode half tracks. That's what I was riding, trying to get
Yeah.
on that thing, and it was just I'd bump off of that thing.
What year is that?
77,
Yeah,
76, 76, 77.
77-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at your hair. It was kind of short back then, and you
And-
haven't cut it since, right?
And you can see the coping is burnt there.
Oh yeah.
Because a couple nights before that, we were doing flame coping shots.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
to set the coping on fire.
Well, no, there was like what is it? I'm just trying to think. What is it? Coping. No, you were doing like spark. Okay, that's another thing. You had like tail tap grinds, but that was somewhere else down the road a little bit. I'll show you that
Okay.
picture of the two, because yeah, we can get to that.
Now,
one.
rumor has it I invented the
There it is.
backside,
That's what I'm talking
backside
about.
tail tap.
Is that
In the
right?
Kona
You-
bowl on the hip.
Yeah,
And that hip
on the
was
hip.
crazy. Now, that, of course, wasn't in the 70s. The
Right,
spark
that
shot.
one's but I just remember the
Yeah,
sparkly shots.
there
and-
was a product called Tail Devil out for a while, and they were
Okay.
little sparkies that you stuck on your tail.
Yeah.
And I just loved them. I love fire and sparks and stuff.
Well,
And it was really hard to get that picture right there. Isn't that an awesome picture?
that's a great photo, man.
That's at
Absolutely.
Claremont Skate Park when the wood
those-
bowl was still
Oh, okay.
there. yeah.
Wow.
And I really fell in love with the Tail Devils. Everybody at the time thought they were really goofy. Oh, those are cheesy. Those are goofy. They're
Anything
big.
new freaks people out.
It
You know how
does.
it goes, man. You
Now
know.
they're real popular because the downhill guys put them on their
Yeah.
slide
They're
puck and
pucks.
stuff.
Yeah.
But then everyone's like, "That's goofy," but that's a great picture, right there.
Actually, I think those things would make it big time these days. When we were kids, okay, when I wasn't quite a kid. I was probably 18, but I felt like I was 13. But we used to drill out our mid tracks and then put little
I
flints in them
I
so we
remember
could
that.
spark our so we could
remember
do
that.
sparks. I actually have a pair of my original ones at home, just the hangers.
Yep, I remember that.
and
Yeah.
I kept them, and then I extended the axle so I can put washers on it because
Yeah.
I went anyway. So that was another.
That was
little
another
trick
good
that I
ad
did.
that was up there for a second.
Oh.
With the 3 pictures in it. That
Yeah.
That is from the guy that did Panther Wheels was going to put out a signature board of mine that never ended up coming out, and it was called the Airliner. And that he put out ads for it before he put out the board, and the board never came out.
Oh no! They just sold out. That's all.
Okay, that was it.
that's-
Yeah, that was it. You're right.
That's
You're
what we
right.
always say. Oh, it's not that it never
and
came
you were
out.
talking
It's just-
about front side air. That
yeah.
front side air
I
is that
know.
Vista.
I see that.
And you see that, look at that backside here, how
Yeah.
it's not, it looks like a backside no-hander, but actually it's just mega early
Early release. Yeah, where was
Yeah.
that at? Do you remember? It
That's
looked like Vista
Vista too,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see the
Yeah.
background, the brown coping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that coping there too, man. Stuck out a mile,
It
and
did.
there was hardly any vert in that pool. That
Yeah.
pool was like.
And then they
like-
went to change the coping because no one liked it and they never put it back on.
Yeah.
They rode it for a year with no coping.
Yeah, I remember the funnest part of Vista was their snake run in the back. I love to ride that thing, but
That was a
anyway,
fun
it
part.
was pretty good. Okay, so what about the ASL ramp? Do you remember the ASL ramp?
No, and I would skate anything that was fun. I did, but I was a cement pool guy. I wasn't so much heavy into ramps.
Yeah.
You know, there was always a ramp to ride, and you know, there was always ramp sessions. But if I could ride, if I had a choice, I'd head towards cement. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't recall that particular ramp. Where was it?
I know it's in North County. I don't remember. Man, you know what? I was like a little kid getting pulled around.
I probably rode it.
I think it was like Lisi that took me to it. Jim Lisi, I think, because we were doing, you know, Lisi came down to Spring Valley all the time. And then when we would drive up to LA in his van, and then all of a sudden, I mean, honestly, I thought the Kona Bowl was in Vista. And it turns out it's like a half a mile from where we are right now. And, you know, but I never paid attention. I was always in the back. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm somewhere in North County. I'm lost, but we're here. So this is it, man. We got to skate. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so you have been credited with doing the backside, I don't know how I should say it, backside ollie air.
Actually, it's called. I originally named it No Hands Air.
Okay.
And in the how-to in the magazine, it says No Hands Air JT.
JT Air, you're
And
right.
my buddy started calling it, JT Air.
Yeah.
So it kind of became JT Air. Somewhere down the road, down the line, it just got blended into the ollie thing.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because it's not an ollie at all. You know, ollie has all to do with pop and a whole different motion and approach than when I was doing that. But, you know.
I remember in Del Mar, in the keyhole, before they put the deck on, there was just coping only. Remember? That was the way it was. And I remember the first time I saw you do it, I was like, what a mistake. What the hell is this guy doing? And I had no idea that it was going to turn into being a trick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you first did it, I was, you know, it was about, I don't know, probably 6 inches out, but off the wall about like 6 inch. Yeah, it was like that high out, but like he popped it way off the wall. And I thought it was a mistake. That's what I thought. I'm like,
now
I'll never do that again. Are you kidding me? You just made that?
That was a cool, that's a cool picture. That was a cool moment right there. Real quick, like I was saying, in those days, there wasn't a lot of communication. People didn't get to see each other and what they were doing unless they got together, mainly at contests.
Right.
That was a Hester contest right there.
Okay.
And most of the world hadn't seen that yet. Just my buddies I hung out with and anybody that hung around Del Mar.
Right. Okay.
Had seen it. But none of the LA guys, nobody had seen it yet. And I'm not much for contests. I was never a big trick guy.
Right.
But I was skating for Tracker then, and Lance Smith's like, you got to go in the contest. At least just do that.
Yeah.
You'll blow everyone away. So that's what I did. And that was the first time the skate world in general saw that.
Yeah.
It was at that contest.
Well, I think that you know, you just made a comment about like it wasn't really an ollie, but actually it's totally an ollie. Okay.
Well, you're right.
It was an ollie, man. Like, I mean, yeah, it bounced off the coping. In the very beginning, it was bouncing off the coping.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? Back then, if I remember right, you seemed to have a really short tail. You didn't have like a normal
tail.
And
I had a big block tail.
Yeah, block tail.
And I could stick my foot in.
Yeah, it was like there was like I remember like a wedge, almost like a wedge cut, and then there was like a thing on top of that.
Yeah, just a big block of wood.
I just remember because I remember looking at your board like, what is that? What is this? You know, like I didn't understand. I thought, well, I guess it's because it's a longboard, and you were doing that on like a 36-inch board, which was
I think that was 37 something.
Oh,
like that.
okay,
Yeah, 36, 37.
Yeah, I just remember that it was really big and it was awkward, and when I first saw it, I was like, what the heck?
And when I did that trick, the ollie thing really didn't come into play yet.
Yeah.
And it was basically I dreamed and thought about doing a kick turn on air.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a couple times out at Kona and a couple other pools, people would put up a piece of plexiglass on the Kona, on the coping,
right?
And you'd ride up on the plexiglass,
Sure.
then take pictures through
right.
it. Kind of thing. And I did that once or twice at a few pools, and I thought, wow, what if the plexiglass wasn't there?
Yeah.
You could just do a kick turn on the
Air. Wow.
And that's kind of where that formed. I didn't really want to do the whole popping and tweaking the feet. I just wanted to ride quick kick turn on the air. Kind of, you know?
Yeah, it was. Anyway, I just remember how I just remember seeing it and thought, man, that's a mistake. But then you did it again, and I was like, how lucky can you be to be able to keep your board to your feet? Because I didn't even understand the concept at that time, and it was weird because I was actually on tour in Florida. I was at the Solid Surf, and I think this was '79 when I first saw another kid. It wasn't Alan, doing beautiful frontside ollies across this channel at the pool. And the pool was only like 5 feet deep and had like 2.5 feet of vert. And I could skate it really well because in my backyard when I was learning Andrex, I had the same type of transition, man. It was just, but mine was only, as wide as this table, which is like 4 feet. And I was trying to do backside airs on it, little bunny hops, But yeah, that's when I first saw the first ollie air and another, like, I don't know what the name of the kid was doing it, but I was at a, contest at Solid Surf. So anyway, okay, so I got to ask, San Diego, legend has it, okay, that you made up the front side air, the backside air. There was one other, oh, yeah, you mentioned it, the tail block.
Backside tail tap.
Okay.
And
So,
people
what's your
now, there's a tail tap and there's a tail pivot when you go
Yes,
up kind of pivot.
that's
And
what I
there's
saw.
A lot of
Steve
kids and a lot
Alba.
of people now call that a tail tap,
Right.
where they're up on the wood, which wasn't at all. People don't do real backside tail taps anymore.
Yeah.
Again, back to the coping at the Kona Bowl.
Right.
It's just, and it had kind of a, it wasn't just straight, it had kind of a.
Oh yeah, man, it stuck out with a big lip. And
Yeah.
It was like.
So what I was doing, I had that block tail, and I would go up and hit the wood, and it would make a tapping noise.
Right.
And I would get it to, if I could get it just right, it would make a nice loud snap,
Yeah.
And now people don't really do that. The
Right.
coping's smaller at parks, or it's
Yeah.
metal, so you can't really do it. And people do what I call a tail pivot,
Right.
and a lot of times call that a tail tap. But a real original tail tap was on huge coping.
Yeah.
And you were underneath the coping, and you could just go snap.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I remember the first ones that I saw too were at Spring Valley, Skateboard Heaven.
Yeah.
They have like a edge type top of the pool, and people would go up and just do tail taps. It wouldn't pivot and get on top of it.
No,
It would just slap it up. Yeah.
And I'd
be like-
love to see the kids bring that back.
Yeah.
But
Well,
like I said, a lot of times the coping isn't big enough at parks.
but I still see a lot of kids, like a lot of old school guys, still throw that up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's a tail tap, a real one.
And it was originated on the hip
Yeah.
in the Kona Bowl, which was crazy steep. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. The first like pivot you're talking about I ever saw do it was Steve Alba. And I thought that was pretty cool because I used to do
Tail
those-
pivots
I used
are
to do-
really cool.
You can still do tail taps even on vert. You can still do it, but the pivot, that turned into so many tricks. So
Yeah.
as it was, so that was really really cool.
Dwayne did a pretty cool tail pivot.
Yeah, he did quite a few. So all right. So nickname wise, you have JT.
Yep.
What other names did you have that we
Other
can talk
than
about?
asshole.
Yeah. I remember that one too.
Pretty much, that's pretty much it, JT and my regular name,
Okay.
Jeff, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. In the industry and in history writings, they call me the original longboarder.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, I think that's about it.
Okay.
A couple other names we probably shouldn't say on
Yeah.
here,
So who were the guys? That you actually like looked up to? Or was there any guys? Because you were kind of first generation then. Were there guys that you were like, this guy's
again,
a badass type of thing?
and
Like,
what was so cool about then is, again, I'll probably say it a lot, is everything was new. Everything
Yeah.
was just,
Oh, yeah.
everything we did was the first time.
yeah.
So there really wasn't skate stars yet. There was guys that were way better than everyone else, and they stood out.
Right.
But there really wasn't a hierarchy and stuff set up.
Okay.
But so in the early days, I was so busy just doing my thing. I was so much more advanced than most people. I was just busy doing my thing.
Yeah.
Everyone was, halfway up the wall, and I was doing air. So I wasn't watching them much.
Yeah.
I was busy doing my thing, you know. But as the parks came in and Del Mar came in and a skate industry came in, I always thought you were pretty cool. I really did, you know.
I was
Me and my
nobody,
buddies, like I
man.
said, you were elusive and you know you were stylish, and we thought you were pretty cool. Bowman, I thought was a rad dude. You know, he wouldn't talk to us, but he was a really cool dude. We loved the way he skated.
Yeah.
And other than that, I didn't pay attention much to who was doing what and the industry and who was writing what.
What about magazines and stuff? You were looking at those at all?
Just to make sure my picture was in there every time. Once I got the picture, it's okay, good, I got that one. But no, you know, that was the Bible thing.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
we as skaters, we sat at night in our rooms and looked at that over and over and.
Oh yeah, man.
And that's
A
what
million
most.
times.
There was no internet. That's where most skate knowledge came from.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, speaking of skate knowledge, and what did you think about the Dogtown video? I mean, that came out, you know,
The which one?
Dogtown movie. You know,
The produced movie or the first one or both?
the first one, yeah, first one, and the second one was whatever. The first one was really done
you
well. I know
know,
that. I
That's
thought
a
so,
touchy
but
question because every time I answer that question truthfully, I piss people off. But I thought there was a lot of misleading in there.
yeah, okay,
I think there was a lot of truth in there, and it was really cool to see skateboarding come to light because there wasn't a real skate documentary yet, you know.
right.
So it was really cool to see skateboarding coming to light. But I think there was a lot of misclaims, and a lot of people were left out. It was their money and their production, so they talked
Right.
about themselves, and I understand that now. At the time, I'm like, well, what about? Well, wait a second, you know. But I you know, it was a production, and they were paying for it, so
Yeah.
they, you know,
They get to say what they want.
and
They
they
get
don't
to-
have
they
money
got
to
to set-
promote someone they didn't know.
They got to set history,
You know, so
basically.
so there was a lot of bias in it, I think, but at the same time, I was glad to see it happen. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, I was just kind of curious because, you know, I didn't know, like, I mean, the way the movie was done was phenomenal. You know, they
Yeah.
did a fantastic job. I'll give hands off on that. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a great
Well,
movie
what's the first
to
one
watch.
called that Stacy did?
I don't even remember.
Uh,
Lords of Dogtown.
Dogtown.
Well, that was the second one, though. Wasn't
That
it?
was the one.
Dogtown was the second one.
Oh, okay. Lords
The-
of Dogtown.
the-
Dogtown was the first one.
Okay.
With this about the Zephyr Boys and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's anyway. Did you ever go on tour anywhere? Did Panther or anybody ever send you on?
To L.A.
Okay.
And the Bay Area. That's
Okay.
about as far as I.
Okay, I was just curious. Like, I mean, touring really started mostly and probably I don't know, man. There's guys going everywhere.
Of course, it
So-
takes money touring. So the guys that really got to tour then, late '70s, early '80s, skated for a company that had the money.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and like skating for Panther and even Tracker, you know, they probably weren't in the position to send people to Europe. And
Tracker was killing it back then.
Tracker
You
was
know,
the thing.
They were killing
I
it.
rode Trackers for
So-
years and years.
Yeah, I know, you know, until Indy came out, and it took a little time for those guys to get traction. But
Yeah.
once they did, they did a fantastic job with their marketing department
Yeah.
and do their thing. So
I was a Tracker
but-
guy for years.
okay, I was just wondering like how far you got to go and the whole.
What?
I know. I'm just like going, man, who does that in the movie?
He's watching the monitor and fucking with it.
Oh shit! You know the guy's in trial right now, and every time his little
Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp did it.
Good old,
Yeah.
good old Depp.
I hope you guys
I
enjoyed
haven't seen. I don't watch TV, so I haven't
Yeah.
seen that, but I've heard about that.
All right. Well, do you remember like your first picture you ever got in the magazine?
Yeah.
And what did you think? What did you feel? What magazine? I mean, that's usually like a pretty big thing where you
I
know
don't have that picture.
I don't even know what it
I
is.
think it was the black and white backside air and Kona UFO saucer ad.
Oh, is that right? I think we have that actually. So yeah,
Which is a crazy cool picture, and that's the one I was telling you about. Everyone thought it was
like
fake.
fake. Yeah, it was like
Because
3
people
feet
hadn't
high.
seen that big of hair.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much everyone hadn't seen that big of area. They're like, no way. People were
And
saying,
not on a 36-inch board too.
oh, in that picture, I think the board's 42.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It's a
Wow,
large ski,
that's a huge board for back then, no question about it. So anyway, well, we're gonna take a minute and look for that and see what we can find. So anyway, all right. So Del Mar was really the only contest that you ever entered?
No,
or did you ever make it up to? Did you ever skate Upland?
We went to Upland all the time. I never
Okay.
did a contest in Upland, but we would
Okay.
get somebody's mom's car and drive up to Upland. It was a rad place. And it was Disneyland for skateboarders. But I did Big O. That was an awesome contest.
Yeah.
I did a contest in Milpitas.
Oh,
that
did
was
you skate Milpitas?
That was a really cool
Yeah,
contest.
that was. Yeah, a little round keyhole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That park was great. And I did a couple of Del Mar contests, but I wasn't a contest guy. You know? Like, again, I wasn't really a part of that whole industry thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we were like contests. But I did a few contests.
Yeah.
Big O was awesome. I battled it out frontside air with George Jordan on the air.
Oh, is that right?
Air contest. And check this out.
Or was that
it came
the first contest? Was that the second contest? A Big O. Because I remember Alan Gelfand won that contest, so it must have been the first contest.
It was the first one.
It was the first one because Al Gelfand did the second
I remember
one.
I met Tay Hunt there. And
Oh,
I was
yeah,
so
yeah.
impressed with him. He was a rad
You know what?
skater.
That's a guy who never got the credit that he deserved.
No, not at all.
Tay was gnarly,
I
man.
met him there, and I'm like, dude, you're rad. And he was a total LA guy.
Yeah.
No, not even LA.
He was
further,
he was a
further.
Badlands guy.
Oh, Badlands. Guy.
Yeah, he was a Badland. Up by the Upland crew. He was part of
But
their.
they had an air contest, and it came down to George, me, and the guy that invented the hand plane.
Bobby Valdez.
Valdez.
Yeah,
right?
Valdez. Huh.
So it came down to us three. And there was a huge controversy that at that time.
Oh,
and it's probably
I remember.
that wasn't an air. It's not an air.
Yeah.
Because he was hanging on and
Right.
he shouldn't have been in it. And,
Right,
and
I
you guys
remember
messed
that.
everything up for letting. You
Yeah.
know. But anyway,
He won it too.
I thought George won.
No, I think he won it because he did the
He just
invert.
stretched it
Yeah,
out.
he stretched it
That's
out.
right.
Yeah, he
And
won it,
still,
and everybody
it's
was
like,
everybody
he
was
goes,
talking
wait a second,
about
that's
that.
not fair.
Yeah.
But George and I had a nice little battle on
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
man.
I
And we were
remember
both
that.
doing frontside air, and that was really awesome. I think I don't know who got second and third now.
Yeah, I don't
But you're
remember.
right.
I
He did
remember.
win with the backside.
Yeah,
hand
it was
time.
an
Everyone like,
invert.
No,
Yeah.
no. you
Everybody, he did the invert. So
Now that's a different ad, actually. That's later.
That's the only one that I found.
yeah.
There's a one.
Well, no, I mean you can still see that's a big backside air.
But there's the ad, the
I know.
saucer ad where
I think you were actually riding a red board at that time. I mean, it
it's
was like
black
a red
and white.
board.
And what was cool about it was they paint. It was
Wait, can you go back down real quick on that?
it,
Right there.
It was before Photoshop.
They're not seeing
Oh,
this.
they're not. Okay. I was just going to say, because we're looking at a picture right now, but I see, who's that in the middle right there with the gold wing sticker on the board?
I think
That's-
that's Paul Lockwood.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
Just as a UFO kid.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. We were just, we're just reminiscing right now about
What was
some
cool
old
about the
stuff
ad
on
that we're talking about that's not up is that it was before Photoshop, and they painted the logo on the pool. They had it painted on the bowl.
wow,
Took the
okay.
guy 2 days to do it.
Is that right? For which? For UFO or for Panther?
UFO.
Oh, for
saucer,
UFO? Yeah. Yeah, I remember UFO, to be honest with you. I remember their team. They had a lot of really good riders back then. They all seemed like they were really big guys. Of course, I was a little guy, but
Everyone
I
was
just
big
remember.
to you.
I know, I just remember. I think it's because Gunner. This is when I first met Gunner Haugo, and who made up what oh my God, forgive me, Gun Air.
Gun Air.
Yeah, the Gun Air,
Yeah.
which is everybody knows it as the
Indy.
the Indy Air,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was actually Gunner.
That's a cool picture you popped up a little earlier of it's a Panther ad, or I'm on the hip doing the backside tail tap.
Yeah,
I can't find that
yeah.
black and white ad, though.
Yeah. But
you know,
that Panther ad doing the backside tail tap was was a lot of kids' first time seeing a tail tap.
Yeah, yeah. I was shocked to see how much footage and coverage and stuff that you got
it's the
back in the
one.
day. There were so many ads of you. There were so many pictures in the magazines, and man, I get to find all this stuff as I'm digging through everybody's thing.
Yeah, I still even
And
see stuff. I'm
you
like,
know.
I never seen that one.
Yeah,
you know?
that's I know it's super cool. I love
And
when
what was
people send stuff.
really great? I mean, photographers followed me around like mad.
Oh, is that
You
right?
know, because they could always expect to get something rad, you know.
Yeah.
But in that days, we were kind of like the whole Indian thing. It's like, you know, if you let someone take a photo of you, it'll steal your soul, you know. So we were, we were like not really into the photographer thing. We would chase them away, get out of here, you know. But
That's gonna be the stupidest thing I ever.
funny, huh? So, but we were kind of anti-photographer, so there probably would have been a lot more pictures if I wasn't. But.
Okay, because I know, like back then, were you hanging out with Stropel and Wally at that time?
No, they were L.A. dudes too.
Okay,
you
but
know,
they came down and moved back down to like the Del Mar somewhere area, and they
I
were at
think
Del Mar all the
that,
time.
Stropel might have had ties or family down in San Diego because I
okay.
would see him a lot in San
Yeah,
Diego.
I always saw him.
Especially
I
at
quite a bit.
I didn't know him during the Kona days.
Okay, yeah,
But
yeah,
it was Del Mar days.
yeah,
And Stropel and I became really good friends.
yeah. I
We
remember.
were both
you guys
really
were-
snotty, and because we were just rad, and he was Mr. BioAir, you know, and so we didn't talk to many people, but we kind of gravitated to each
Right.
other and became really good friends. And I would go up and hang out with them up.
Well, that's why I was just wondering too, because I know Bolster Warren lived with Wally, and maybe that was the connection. Maybe because somebody was living in Cardiff, I think
Yeah,
it was, and then Wally and Stropel were living with them.
Yeah,
And so those guys got a
It
lot
was
of
some
extra
kind
good
of tie,
pictures,
like,
and I do
And
remember.
then
Like,
I met Wally through Chris.
and those
So,
guys would show up to the park all the time together, and
Yeah.
those guys were two peas in a pod, no question about it. All right, so was there like a trick that you learned that was really frustrating, just terrible, hard time to learn, or you just wanted to
No,
break?
not at all.
No.
And I don't mean that flippantly. The reason for that is I said before, I wasn't a trick guy.
Yeah.
I again, back to surfing. I just wanted to surf the bowl. I was a line guy.
Right.
You know, I mean, these guys would be doing these grad tricks, and then I'd get in the bowl, and everyone would be like, whoa, a different approach.
Yeah.
You know, I was into lines,
carving and-
carving
yeah.
and just finding different places. So I really wasn't a trick guy, and I don't think I ever set out the backside, no hand, like I said, I thought about that.
Okay.
About kick turn
Yeah,
and clear. But otherwise, there were just advancements that just
Yeah.
sort of happened with skating. You know? I don't think I ever sat down and go, I'm going to invent a trick or I'm going to invent this trick. It just sort of happened. You know?
Right.
You know, probably frontside air. Also, I used to do frontside tail tap. We go up and grab the rail and pull it.
Yeah, those were.
And that probably turned into
those were always really hard.
hard.
Frontside ones.
But I
Yeah.
probably did a blowout and made it, and everyone was like, whoa. So that probably turned into a frontside air. But things were just an advance, an evolution of just riding.
Yeah. I remember the only place I could ever do the frontside tail tap was at the Lakewood half pipe.
Yeah.
I couldn't on pool, man. That was a tough trick to pull off. for
But
me.
people have asked me that quite a bit. How was it? How did you invent these tricks? They just.
A lot of them were
They were
mistakes,
just
man.
progression.
Yeah.
They were just progression.
Well, talking to like last week with Billy Ruff, and how he learned the unit. He goes, well, I tried to do the Miller flip. And every time I did it, he over-rotated another 180, and then it became, okay, so I'll just do this, it's easier.
Yeah, that's cool anyway,
So, yeah, that's always better. All right, so how often I remember seeing you in a cast once. I think you broke your arm. Did you ever have any other, what other injuries did you have? Like, how many times did you knock yourself out? What kind of fun stuff did you have?
I knocked myself out a lot of times.
Yeah.
I knocked what? I knocked myself out. There's another really good picture right there. Tail tap on the on the hip.
Yeah.
You see how busted up the coping is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember. I thought somebody took a hammer to that at some point, and
The
just
the
to try
BMX
and do
kids
it.
hated us.
Oh, that was what it was.
And it was Escondido,
Okay.
so there was a
Yeah.
lot of BMX
Yeah.
kids. And when we were gone, they'd come, and we'd have to come and take all the bricks and cinder blocks out of the bowl.
Yeah.
They would destroy the bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember them throwing oil and crud in there too.
Yeah.
I remember at one time we had to put dirt in there to clean it up because it was so slippery. So yeah, I guess they thought that was cool.
Now, there's a good story behind this how-to right here.
Okay, so
I'm
what?
resizing.
Oh, you're
Oh,
They
resizing.
don't,
Okay.
they don't see this.
Okay.
okay.
The one
All
on
right.
the left is for me.
Okay.
All right. That's
All
a
right.
cool
So
sign.
we'll wait and see when it comes up, but we'll talk about it.
All right.
But let's get back to the San Diego legend of you in the front side air and you in the backside air, because obviously in San Diego you were probably one of the first guys or the first guy to do those tricks. So what's the story behind that? Is that
And happened, the backside pretty much was mastered. I was starting to do it different places, but at the Kona Bowl.
yeah?
And the front side one was pretty much mastered at Vista. I had been
Okay.
doing it for a few years before that, but got it on dial,
Okay.
at Vista. And just trying to push limits, man. I mean, just it's a good question. I wonder what I was thinking. Well, you wonder sometimes what you were thinking. I'm gonna go up this wall and blast air and ride back in. It's like, man, the drugs were good then. But that's a good question. It's so long. I don't know what the heck was going through my mind at that time.
Okay, I just thought of another thing too. Back then, in Oceanside, they were building the nuclear power plant, and I remember
In San Onofre?
Yeah, in San Onofre. And remember they brought in all those 20-foot pipes. Okay.
Actually, it had been built for quite a while, some amount of years, and they have two pipelines. One sucks in warm air
Right.
from the ocean,
Water,
and one
yeah.
squirts out.
Okay.
One sucks in cold air
Right.
from the ocean.
Cold
excuse
water,
me,
yep,
and
got
then
it.
the other one squirts out the hot
Yeah. Okay.
radioactive water.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And,
You used to surf there all the time too, right?
Yeah. That's why this isn't a mask. This is my face.
Yeah. Well, that question's coming too.
Anyway, both those pipelines had some damage from a big storm or something. Some
Okay.
cracks where they had to replace them.
Oh, okay. That's
And
why they brought
people
those
in
things up
those
there.
days, even still, those were some of the biggest pipes made.
Yeah,
At
absolutely.
Amaron Pipe Company up in LA, and they drove them one by one down the freeway, which they couldn't even do now.
Yeah.
They had to close the freeway to
Right.
drive it down. And they put them in the field across on the other side of the freeway,
Right.
behind a big dirt berm, so you just couldn't see them there. And there was 3 rows of 30 pipes in each row.
30 pipes.
30 pipes were in each row, and there was 3. There might have been 4 rows, but I know there was 3 rows, and they were, put together like set on the ground like that,
Right.
end to end.
Yeah.
And some of the gaps were 3 inches, some of them were 2 inches. There was some with 10-foot gaps.
Yeah.
And Sonny, yeah, there, right
Yep.
there.
That's those are the pipes.
Look at them, how they're just
So,
perfectly set. Now I was jumping from pipe to pipe.
Right.
No hands air, backside and front side.
Right.
And Sonny, look at that.
Yeah.
Sonny Miller has an old photo, old video, and I think it's on YouTube somewhere. Me riding all the way, jumping all the way down
back
and
and
all
back.
the way back.
Wow. Okay, so that's like I remember
Now
when
that pipe, obviously, they set a little for whatever reason.
Yeah.
To the side a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh no, I mean there was a couple rows up. You can see there was just 2 of them back to back right there.
Yeah.
Like they were up against each other.
Yeah, that's
But-
that's an early front side release there. That right
Yeah.
there is a
Just a
front
front
side
side
no
kick.
hander.
Oh, okay. But I just remember when I went up there, I got to skate there for like 20 minutes before security came and busted us. And
I skated there many,
kicked us out.
many times, but got thrown out a lot of times.
we got thrown out every time. We tried to go in the evenings, go early mornings, and because I was a kid that had the little card to be able to get on base. Because that's on a military base.
A lot of my best pipe pictures are taken from a guy. His name's Joel Broida. We called him Crazy Joel. And you see the hole in the top of the pipe?
Yep.
He one time brought his climbing gear,
It got on top of it.
straddled the pipe with his rope, and lowered himself down with waist harness, and hung down inside to take pictures. And the MPs came with their guns while he was saying, and we went to run away, and he was hanging the thing, and we were just like, oh, well, if we can't run away, he's hanging in the thing.
Yeah.
So we're busted,
Yeah, we didn't even try to run, man. We were just like trying to make friends with them to let us skate, but they kicked us out.
The guy standing at the bottom, remember Kyle Jensen?
Yeah? Is that Kyle right there?
That's Kyle right there.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a rad kid.
Yeah, I got to get Kyle in here and talk too, because yeah, he definitely was part of the North County crew
but
for
Sonny
sure.
and I went a lot, and the thing was, my dad was a Marine. I grew up in Oceanside because he was stationed at Camp Pendleton.
Yeah.
And until you're 21, you got an
That's
ID.
right, ID card.
And no one else had an ID, so they had to bring my ass.
That's me. That was my
They had to bring me because I had the ID, so
Yeah.
I got to go a lot.
Yeah, I remember one time we pulled up in the truck and we had all the pads, everything in there, and they saw the ID and they knew all about the pipes and us, and they didn't even let us go in, man. They were just like, no, guys.
Well, as we started going, it got more and more robust.
Well, everybody knew about
That's
it,
an awesome picture right there. It's just a beautiful shot. And dude, I'm touching the ceiling, and that's a 22-foot pipe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge pipe. That's a big backside kick turn.
Those were a lot of fun.
It was death-defying to do that.
Yeah.
To come down from that, you had to kind of leave the wall for a second. It was just
slide. It was got a free fall a little bit.
Yeah, it was
like a little free fall.
It was super scary.
Yeah, those pipes were. I just remember probably
now,
6
right
months
there,
that those guys were.
10-foot gap right there.
Yeah,
that's like almost a 50-inch longboard.
Yeah, that thing looks pretty big. I just was wondering, like, the reason why you like to ride longboards because you had a wider stance. Is that because I can see you got a wide stance there?
You probably had to ride that thing.
Yeah, thing's a beast.
That's Sonny Miller standing in the bottom.
Ah, wow. Well, I wonder if he was taking a photo the other direction.
Yeah, that's an awesome shot. I really love that shot. Actually, I have a 3-shot sequence of that.
Wow. Yeah, those were amazing times when we used to be able to get up there and go skate that.
And look, I'm busting off the ceiling. You can see I'm upside down.
Did you ever go to the Arizona pipes?
I never went to the Arizona pipes.
Okay.
Most
of the
difference
LA guys
between
did
those,
that,
they weren't set.
No.
Side, they were just
they were
single.
far apart, singled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those things, I thought the Amaron were 20 and the ones in Arizona were 22.
I think the Amaron's 24, actually.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I have some pictures where you can see the printing. They printed the date and the type and the size. Actually, I know they're at least 22. It might be 24.
Okay. Well,
they were huge.
That was something I don't remember, but I do remember having a lot of fun there for 20 minutes just to be a part of it and to say I got to skate it and it was rad before we got kicked out of there.
Yeah, there was many times where we got thrown out and weren't even able to ride, but there was other many times we hung out all day.
Yeah. Just depends on who was on duty and if they cared or not,
And we got chased around by guys with guns a couple times.
We got
hit in the pipes.
Yeah, they just came out with a gun. They would come out with their guns and stuff, but I don't think they even had any ammo in them or anything else. But it sure made an impression on you. It made an impression on you for sure.
If you did that shit now, you'd get shot. I mean, that was a nuclear power plant.
Oh man, yeah. No, but that was government property where they were. That was
That's
the part of the.
If you did that
the
stuff
base
now,
there,
you'd
man.
get killed.
Yeah. Man. So anyway, did the pipeline up and up one? How's that pipe? Did you ever make it up to that? Or did you ever go skate Baldy? Did you ever go do Baldy?
I skated Baldy a bunch of times.
Okay.
Yeah, Baldy was fun.
Yeah.
It was a little death trap because it was big enough to ride, but it was small enough that if you just went a little too high, it would hit you and kill you. But it was really fun. Yeah, I did Baldy, and of course, like we talked about, I skated Upland Park a lot.
Yeah.
That pipe was serious.
That was serious pipe.
That
no
thing was
question
serious.
about it. I see some pictures of some guys in that. I mean, obviously Steve Alba just destroyed it. He's got some great photos in there. Same with Scott Dunlap. I remember him doing stuff in there. I was just like, and Wally.
Yeah.
Wally. That was a big spot for Wally. But Baldy, man, I just remember how rough it was, and I had the wrong size wheels when I went up there, and I couldn't do jack. Now, I had to borrow a board,
Yeah.
and then the board was too loose, and it had indies on it, and
It was
I
one
just
of those things
I
that
couldn't do it, man. I was just like, I went all the way up there. That was like the first time I went up there.
Yeah,
And I
it
was
was
just
one of
like-
those things. Again, things were forming in the early days
Yeah.
of Baldy's. Things were forming, and people just didn't realize how bad or good it was. It was just there, and you could skate it. So it's like, let's skate it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I see guys are still riding it.
We've done a lot.
And I was
with,
the first one to carve
Yeah, see,
coping.
that's the one I'm talking
I was
about right
carving
there.
coping when people
Yeah.
were barely making it over the light.
Right.
And in those days, first it was tile. I made it to tile, and you
Just
remember that
think, man.
buzzing noise tile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone would go, ooh. But
Yeah.
then I started carving coping pretty quick after that, and people were still just getting over the
Yeah.
light.
I remember, well, I'm looking at your pads right there, and those are a little bit newer pads.
It's the
But
first,
those
some
are
of the
first generation
pads,
of the
man.
Rectors, man.
No, those
So,
are Norco cups.
Are they Norcos? Norcons?
Yeah.
Norcons.
Cups.
And
Okay.
you see the gloves, I'm still making my handmade gloves. I'd steal my mom's gardening gloves.
Oh, really? Okay.
Put a bunch of tape on them.
Oh, is that tape? Because, you know what, it's hard for me to see because of the lights in here.
And
But
then those are Eagle elbow pads that the Panther Wheels guy put out. Eagle
Yeah.
pads. They were
okay.
just like funky little leather things.
But that's not the deep end. That's on the hip light right there, isn't
No,
it?
that's the deep end
Oh,
right
is it?
there. You
Okay.
can see the light just
Oh, behind it. Okay, got it. All right. Yeah, because I remember the Pala pool, the same type of thing.
And like we were talking about before, things would progress just from riding because I would get bored very easily.
That's the backside Air Panther ad,
Yeah.
isn't it?
No, that's not an
That
ad.
isn't
That
it?
was it was in one of the skateboarding world or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
Bruce Hazelton, I think, took us out there. And some people think it's a hand plant, but if you look, it
No,
just
yeah,
don't
no,
look
that's
like that.
that's a total backside
And
air
look
right
at
there.
that.
It almost
The-
looks
the
like an
tail
alley-oop.
was the tail was like 3 inches wide.
Yeah, I know.
So my whole foot
Yeah.
would be hanging off the thing.
Yeah. No, I can see that. That was a super
That's why
narrow.
your toes
It's a
are
narrow
so
board.
wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are Eagle gloves too. Those leather gloves.
Are those still mid tracks then on that?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, they look
I
like
don't know
they're
how-
kind of, but they're not that
how I
wide. But
wrote
those
that
wheels are
down.
wide. Those are big wheels, for sure.
Yeah, the Panthers were pretty big.
Yeah. So that looks like same day almost, right?
Yeah, I think that same day.
Yeah, same day. But yeah, there's that coping. You can see that stuff is 4 inches, and that's one of your classic tail taps right there.
Yep, and right on the hip.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see how steep that pool is.
Oh yeah, Mel. That's how all the pools were back then, man.
It's like
We had no
How big
transition.
How
You
thick
know.
is your board?
That looks like 7.5 or
thicker
8
than a
inches.
laminate.
Oh.
It's not a laminate. It's a carved down water ski, so it's a solid piece of wood.
Mm.
So a little thicker than your usual laminate. But they're water skis, so they weren't real heavy. You know, I don't know.
They were durable.
And they were durable.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, these are like for back in the day, back at that time, that is big.
yeah,
That would
and
definitely
still,
be considered big.
most people weren't even getting to tile yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. Look at that nice hot day it looks like, man.
you know Escondido.
I know.
Especially, I was out in the field.
That's out in
There
the
was
valley
nothing
right there.
around.
Yeah.
The house had burnt down.
Yeah.
And there was no shade.
Yeah.
You know,
Fun.
it was warm out there.
So let's see. So that was the Escondido Bowl, right? How did it get the name Kona? Tell me the story.
Great story. Speaking of being hot, it was probably 110 out there one day. Me and my buddy Art were out there. It was too hot to even ride. So we took palm fronds and cardboard and sticks and stuff and made a little shade roof over the shallow end. And we're just hanging out. And my buddy had come back from Hawaii and had a big fat bud from Kona, Hawaii. And, you know, we were still smoking rat weed then. And I was kind of afraid to smoke it because he told me, he goes, watch out, this shit's gnarly, you know. So I'm like, Art, I got this, you know, this bud, Kona bud that my buddy gave me, and we both smoked it, and we were just flying rip, and probably too high to skate by then, too hot and too high to skate. But long story short, I found a yellow and green crayon on the deck around the pool. kind of melted a little bit. And I drew a big green pot leaf with yellow Kona underneath
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And
that's how that name stuck.
That's how it got pegged.
And then everybody called it Kona from that
Yeah.
day until it was
stayed
gone.
up there for a couple months, until it wore off.
Yeah, I actually remember going to Whirling Wheels. I think it was Whirling Wheels in Escondido. Yeah. And but before that, we came up and rode that pool. But again, I thought that thing was like in Vista, and then I found out, oh, it was in Escondido, man. I know. I was 45. It took 45, 50 minutes to get up
then
here.
I kind of took the tail tap and did, I think, which is more of this picture, where I would tap it, but then I would get on just wood and kind of drag
it, yeah, slide it, yeah.
So I think that's kind of what's going on in that shot.
Yeah, no, I mean that's it's a hot shot, and from back in those days, man,
And
I was really amazing.
I would find whatever colors of spray paint were in the garage, and do a crazy spray paint job on all my boards too. So I always did my own art too.
Yeah. Well, I saw one of your boards that you did art on. I don't know if that was recent or whatever.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white.
Well, it's been out for a while now. One of the signature models I put out myself.
Okay.
Cool skateboard.
Yeah. It was a different shape too. It wasn't like your standard longboard looking board.
I'm not necessarily riding it just myself. I made
Right.
it to sell and to be the production board. So
Right.
I designed stuff in it for everyone. It's a 37, I think.
Okay. Well, here's the skate trip of the front side and the back side, Aaron. I don't know if that's why everybody thought that you were the one who made it up, but
I did.
That's at Del Mar. That was at Del Mar.
I did.
Okay.
Damn it. No. No, anyway, at this point, I was known as the air guy.
Yep.
I mean, I went out in this for nothing.
Right.
I mean, I used to ride that's in the Kona Bowl, the Del Mar Kona
Del Mar.
Bowl.
Okay.
And that's the bowl I rode. I didn't really like the keyhole. So we hung out in that pool.
Right.
And people used to come from all over and take pictures and stuff of these airs. But at that point, I was known as the air guy, and I was riding for a guy who was making not airliner, line. It's on the bottom of the board. A guy in
air flight or something.
Live Line.
Live Line.
Danny
Okay.
Medina, I think his name was. And I was riding for him for a while, and he made that board for me. And he knew Casimus. And he was trying to get promotion for his boards.
Okay.
And Danny was like, you got to come down and shoot some of my skaters.
Yeah.
And Casimus, this is what I heard. Casimus was like, well, who are your skaters? And he's like, oh, this guy, and Tatum. And Casimus was like, well, I've heard about Tatum in the airs. So Danny just called me up one day and he goes, meet this photographer guy down at Del Mar, and he's going to shoot your air thing, and you're going to do a how-to. I'm like, okay.
So who was the photographer that
I think
took
Casimus
that?
shot
Was it Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I never knew that there was color shots of that.
Hmm?
Because in the tracker book, there's a beautiful color shot of that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a fold-out, a 2-page fold-out in the tracker book. And that was the first time I'd seen a color photo of that day. And Casimus was so mean to us. He was such a dick. I remember asking him for a skateboard magazine sticker.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck you, kid. I don't know what to give you sticker. I mean, me and Art were like, God, this guy's a jerk, But he got some good shots with the top one, some of the best part is that shadow.
Yeah. No, I think the third shot and the fourth shot are just amazing.
And
on the front side air for sure.
Early days, man.
Yeah. Well, at the Kona, I mean that's huge.
Number 30.
What's that?
Skate tip, it's number 30.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
I'd been doing that shit for a year or two before that.
Yeah.
But and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't really know about the skate tips thing. I was just told to go down there and skate. Yeah. And he took pictures and whatever, a couple months later that came out, and I'm just like, whoa.
So you didn't write the how-to on that?
I did. I did.
Okay.
He told me to write. And as you can see, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta write something. Oh man, really? They go, just write something. I'm like, okay.
All these years, you could go back and read.
Oh, I wish I could. Yeah.
Yeah, what for, man? I think it's perfectly classic the way it is. Okay, so where's this at?
That's
Is this,
Carlsbad.
Is that Carl?
Yeah, the
Carlsbad.
worst pool on the planet. That thing
Carlsbad.
sucks.
Which is that?
The new Carlsbad.
Okay,
the older
yeah,
Carlsbad.
okay.
God, that pool's terrible.
Yeah, man, I slammed in that thing twice,
Yeah,
and I
it's
just
horrible.
decided to stay out of it. So, but you know,
that's a great shot, though. That nice edger shot.
yeah, oh yeah. Well,
I
this one
got to
too,
the
here.
point where is quite a feat to do, where I could do edgers on command.
Mhm.
Edgers have always been an accidental thing. I mean, most time edgers happen by accident,
Mhm.
you know. But I got to the point where if someone said, do an edger, JT, I could roll an edger on purpose, you know.
Yeah, it was. Do
And
you
this is a
remember?
good example of just being a little over the top and intoxicated by color.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough color.
What
I
board
would
is that? Is that one of your graphics that you did?
No, that's a hand painted, hand done. That's later, you know.
Yeah.
That's probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Okay.
But I've always made my own board.
Yeah.
I have a couple production boards now out that I made to sell to the masses. But the boards I wrote, I've always made.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get enough color.
There you go.
What bowl is that?
That looks like Poods Park in Encinitas.
Yep, that is
Yeah.
That is Encinitas.
That looks like
yeah.
it.
Lappers. That's the lapping grind. Original
absolutely.
lapper
Yeah, I
grinds.
know. I had that.
That's the wood bowl in Claremont. Claremont
Wood
Skate
bowl.
Park.
Oh, is that right?
It's gone now.
Yeah.
There's like that track thing there.
Man, if that picture was just taken like another 1 second, the sun would have been bouncing right through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, no, that's a great photo. All right, this is a little more current now. I was just going to get into the electric board. I know you're a big advocate. I know you.
That's all I ride now.
Yeah.
I haven't. I step on every once in a while and fart around a regular skateboard, but I haven't seriously ridden a regular skateboard for 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
My thing is electric. There's still I still hear it, and there's still a controversy that whether it's skateboarding or not.
Absolutely,
Some
it's
people
skateboarding.
say, that's not skateboard, but of course it is.
Of course it is.
It's just
100%.
the advancement of skateboarding.
Yeah.
And I've always been, since the first day, I've always been hip on advancing on a skateboard and doing what's new. And also, I've never been scared to express myself, and I've never worried about what someone's going to say.
Yeah.
I think some skaters even now don't ride electric skateboards because they're worried what their skate crew is going to say.
You know what?
know?
I think if those things weren't, $800 or more.
The ones I ride are $3,000 and $4,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, but there's still some pretty decent ones out there for like $800-900.
But my whole life as a skateboarder,
Mhm.
I've always looked at things that would be cool to skate, but a regular skateboard just really couldn't do it.
Right.
Grass hills like that, weird underpasses where they just weren't quite skatable.
Mhm.
And then when I got an
Electric
electric
board,
skateboard, I went back
It's all
and it's
possible.
like, I can skate all these things.
Right.
So it's really is the future of skateboarding and just the evolution and advancement of skateboarding.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I feel that any time there's just four wheels under you, as far as a skateboard goes, it's skateboarding. I know a lot of people always say stuff about skateboarding. That's not skateboarding. Dude, it's skateboarding. I'm sorry, man.
It is. It's just
It's skateboarding. It's just
the,
something else.
The new chapter of
that's right.
skateboarding. You know?
Yeah.
And
So-
that video of that underpass was in Texas. Now this is right here.
Yeah.
Some of the first coping on an electric skateboard.
I know. I was just going to say,
And where did you guys get this?
I don't know. We found it somewhere.
What?
Yeah, Greg found it. But the
Because
thing
I
about
was that was probably some of the very first coping I got on an electric skateboard. Now my friend was there and I go, dude, you gotta shoot this, man.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even know this was an electric skateboard until after, like right now. So now you can tell it's an electric skateboard
Because I zoom
because you
on.
started. You start going up hills and stuff, and,
that
you're
little
going
bowl right
faster.
there is pretty steep.
Yeah.
But
Where's that at?
That's Blue Fence in Laguna Niguel.
Oh, is that right?
Laguna
Okay.
Niguel
Yeah,
skate park. It's a
haven't
great
been there.
skate park.
Is it? Looks fun.
But there's some. Now, I pioneered electric skateboarding too. A lot of people don't know. I was the first one to do air on electric skateboard. I was the first one to catch coping and get one wheel. I was the first one to carve coping on electric skateboard.
Well, you've been doing it a long time, and I know you were one of the first guys to jump on the electric board, because I know.
Yeah, dude. The
back
day
when we
I
first
saw
came
that
out
thing,
with
I was
electric
like,
boards.
"That's it, man. That's where skateboarding's going."
The first-
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The
That
electric.
is cool footage, bro. I gotta get that from you. Yeah.
We'll set it up for you. So.
I mean, that's probably the 5th one-wheeler on electric skateboard ever done right there.
Yeah, well, we'll see where, I don't know. I mean, I know there's been a lot of companies doing skateboards and electric skateboards, so we'll see where it goes.
Now, my
it,
goal was I transferred directly from regular skateboarding to electric skateboarding. So I still had regular skateboarding on the mind. I wanted to ride terrain that was just like I did on my regular skateboard, but electric. So I set out to ride pools and bowls and do everything I was doing on a regular skateboard, on an electric skateboard. And I was getting there pretty good until I busted my back. And
you did that skateboarding?
I did that, yeah, in general, not just one fall, just a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So that was right about the time I was still doing regular skateboarding, but transitioning to the electric skateboard. So long story short, it just sort of slowed down my park riding on the electric board because just so much pounding on the back. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I have an electric skateboard, and I can say that I don't like riding anything that I can't outrun.
Yeah.
And I've gotten slow now, so I usually keep mine in, like, you know how you have 2 different speeds on it?
Yeah.
I usually keep it in the first speed,
The first speed.
unless I know the road is perfect.
And
Or the sidewalks are perfect. Otherwise, man, that's it.
There was a few
Can't
things
stop
I
fast
didn't
enough.
get to. I always had visions of doing on the electric skateboard a 50-50.
Yeah.
You got the motor.
Yeah.
You could get a huge, just go all the way around the pool. So there was a couple things I didn't get to, but yeah, there's some good footage out there somewhere of first grind.
Okay, let's have it. Okay, we're gonna show a video right now. And
The first question he asked me,
here we go.
who invented
Jake.
the no-handed backside air?
This is a
So,
really cool video.
would you think that would be a backside ollie? Well, as it turns out, no. There's a guy named Jeff Tatum in
That's an
the late
awesome shot
70s
right
who
there.
did
That's his
actual,
shot.
like, just
Now, real quick on
wild
these
card
cars, they call it-
rideouts
That's the,
and,
the trick is
pull
called
and
an
pray,
arch
and then
car.
Arch
he'd
car.
make
Because
it.
I arch my
Yeah,
back
And
right
he
backwards.
actually called it the
A lot of people
JT.
ask me, why did you always look backwards? Well, I said if you can't see what your board's doing on the coping and enjoy that, then what's the use?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
most people would look down.
Right.
You know, but I always looked back to see where the board was. But my whole thing was I got to the point where I wanted to be sticking straight out and be weightless. So
Right.
you know how you swing a
Well,
bucket?
you're almost upside down right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing was when I was a kid, I was always amazed how you could swing a bucket of water and the water wouldn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tried to do that with the skateboard. I would throw the skateboard up
Right.
and unweight the top half of my body and try and get the skateboard a little higher than my head
Yeah.
and be sticking straight out.
wild card
So that is
rideouts,
a
and,
typical
pull and
original
pray, and
arch
then
carve there.
he'd make
It's
it.
really interesting.
And
what it
he actually
says.
called it the JT Air. Check out this
Kinda
video.
puts it
We
down a
dug through
little
the
bit
vaults
at
and we
the
found this video clip of it. You got pretty lucky
Yeah,
on a
Jake was
bunch.
one of the historians.
And then the other one he asked me is, of
really
course,
cool.
we all know
This
this
was
one.
early.
What was Eddie Alguera's
I
nickname?
think
The
that
Cat.
this was even before I did it in the contest, I think.
The first question he asked
You have
me,
the audio to that?
who invented the
right,
no-handed
Oh, they can
backside
hear
air?
it. Oh, okay, I
So,
see.
Yeah, that's cool.
would you
I thought- I
think that would
believe
be
you.
a backside
Yeah.
ollie?
Okay, cool.
Well, as it turns out, no. There's a guy
yeah, he said
named
something
Jeff
about it.
Tatum
It was just a
in
wild
the
card
late
rideout.
70s who did
And like I
actual,
kind of did it on accident.
like, just
which was totally untrue.
wild
I
card
did that,
rideouts.
You know, mastering
and
it for quite a while.
pulling prey, and
But at that
he'd make
time,
it.
I don't think he'd
And,
ever seen
he
it
actually
in person.
called it the
Yeah.
JT
You know, most
Air.
people hadn't
Check
even
out this
seen it
video.
yet,
We
so
dug through the vaults. And
he
we
was
found
just
it.
figuring
It
like
was a
you, it was an
bootleg.
accident, you know?
Pretty lucky on a
Well, back
bunch.
then, there was
And
a
then
lot
the
of
other
it
one
was
he
just
asked me-
accident stuff. So, anyway.
And that's a cool video. It's a color video from contest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask, what are we doing now? What's a day in the life right now for you?
First question he asked
If
me.
my back's cooperating, if it's not, a lot of times I'm
the-
lying on a heat pad, good part of the day. But I just try and keep riding the electric boards.
Those are all from skateboarding injuries, right?
Pretty
Just pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Just from years and years of pounding and falling, and I'm semi-retired now. I do some projects here and there, and some promotion stuff.
Mhm.
I'm doing a lot of promotion stuff for Evolve now,
Oh, good. Okay.
and a couple other companies. I'm riding some Cali boards that are from New York City.
Okay.
And
What's that picture right there?
That's a Mega Blast Air, and you went one
Oh, I
time with
remember
me
that.
when I was
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I remember now.
Greg was there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Elsinore.
yeah.
Etnies.
Etnies.
Oh, Edney's, yeah.
Yeah.
Etnies.
I was there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you might have
We
been
were,
there.
'cause we were riding together, right?
Yeah, that day,
Mhm.
yeah. And that's a blaster right there.
Yeah.
Oops.
So I'm just trying to keep riding. I try and ride every day I can that my body will let me, which isn't always, but it is most of the time.
Mhm.
And I've slowed down a little bit on the electric board, but still jamming and doing banks and ditches,
Yeah.
cement surfing.
Okay, well, I have to ask because other people asked me to ask. The clothing, the get up. Where'd that come from? What was your thinking?
What clothing? What get up?
Just your face mask
Oh,
right
that.
now,
Oh,
your
yeah,
hat,
yeah,
like I remember the jacket, but you took it another step further. You're scaring little girls when you're driving up here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ladies and little girls goals. It's interesting when people ask because I forget. I mean, it's just what way I feel comfortable, and it's just normal to me. But I forget, and I have to look around sometime that not everybody looks like this.
Yeah.
That maybe it's not normal to some people, or most people, but it's normal to me. And life's boring. I like I said, I have a crazy problem with anxiety, and it's hard to be satisfied with anything. It's hard to sit still, and it's just hard to keep my attention. I have a half-inch attention span, and it's just a way to keep myself entertained. I think to
Okay.
add a little bit of spark to life, have a little something extra to wake up to, like what crazy shit am I going to put on today? I mean, most people just are more than fine with a t-shirt and some pants, but I just need. I'm like a Christmas tree. There's just something about it that's not right if it's not all decorated up.
Oh, good.
But I guess it's just to chase boredom and just to have more fun with life. I guess.
Good, man. I think that's awesome.
And early in my skateboarding days, when I started dressing up, also you find out that it draws attention and it freaks people out, which is kind of fun to fuck with people's heads sometimes. So,
Right on. All right. Well, we're kind of running down here, but I was just kind of curious. Like, do you have anything you'd like to add, just to set the record straight, or anything? Any shout outs you want to give to old sponsors, old friends?
no, I think that just talking about the stuff is good. I mean, no, not really that I can think of. Anybody watching, I guess that the one of the last things we hit on was the look and the approach of look. And, I just always encourage people, especially nowadays, just do your thing, man. Do if it doesn't make everyone else happy, don't worry about it. As long as it makes you happy, do it. And that's why I've done what I've done this whole time, my whole life. A different board, a different look, a different approach. Because I wasn't sure I could get away with it, but as I went along, I learned I could get away with it. And I kept getting away with it. So
Who's gonna say anything?
Just be yourself, man. You know, when life's over, you got to look back and be able to say, "I did it my way."
Right. All right. Well, I really.